This right here, my friends, is a monster of a monitor. And in case you were wondering, no, your screen is not acting up. This isn't just a normal widescreen monitor, it is an ultra-wide monitor. And I gotta tell you guys, I love it. I've been using one of these as a daily driver for quite some time. But to be fair, it's not for everyone. So to help you guys out, this is our guide on whether or not you should be considering an ultra-wide monitor. Let's start with what is an ultra-wide monitor. Well, it has an aspect ratio of about 21:9, which works out to be 2.33 repeating to 1. The reason for that particularly strange number? Well, it's very close to the theater cinema standard, which is 2.39 to 1. So let's just do a brief overview of this particular ultra-wide, which has never been featured before on this channel. To be fair, there are not a lot of other monitor companies making them, and LG is one of the few, so that is why we will be featuring the LG 34UM95. Its resolution is 3440 by 1440, which gives you 4.95 megapixels of beautiful screen real estate, 34% more than you'd get on a standard 2560 by 1440p 16:9 monitor, and 140% more than what you'd get on a 1920 by 1080 monitor. It's a lot of pixels. The thin bezel houses a gorgeous IPS panel with 99% sRGB coverage. It has an LED backlit design, which contributes to keeping the panel nice and thin, and there's a matte finish to it which provides some protection from glare, and the viewing angles are superb. With the stand, it weighs in at 17 pounds or 14.8 pounds if you prefer to use your own VESA mount on the back of it with the included 100mm mounting holes. And something to consider is you may actually want to do that. The plexi stand, while sexy and, floaty, because you can kind of see through it at the bottom, offers no height adjustment other than manually unscrewing it, moving it one notch, there's only 2 total notches, and then screwing it back in. It's a bit of a pain in the butt. The inputs at the back are dual HDMI, 1 DisplayPort, and 2 Thunderbolt, although that Thunderbolt is actually a pass-through so that you can daisy chain it, so you Mac guys can be happy, or as well as any PC guys who happen to be using Thunderbolt for displays. It should be noted that any 2 inputs that can be used in dual link-up mode, so 2 devices can each get roughly a 5:4 monitor, which is probably a bit of a niche thing, but something that might be nice for some people. And it should also be noted that the HDMI ports support only a maximum of 50 Hertz at full resolution, whereas the DisplayPort and Thunderbolt port support 60 Hertz at full resolution. All right, so enough about this particular monitor. You've decided you're gonna buy an ultrawide. Now, hold on a second. There's a few things to consider when you're looking to upgrade. First, what are you going to be using it for? If you're looking to game, consider this for a second. This is 140% more... Do not display this message again. Ha! This is 140% more pixels than a 1080p monitor. You will need a fairly decent GPU to push that many pixels. It is less than 4K, and you won't have to deal with the scaling issues that still persist in Windows up to 8.1, so at least it's got that going for it. Another gaming consideration is the type of games you'll be playing. Some games simply don't scale very nicely. Racing and flight sim games are going to work awesome for something like this and are much easier on your system in the first place, not to mention a better experience than triple 1080p monitors since you don't have bezels. And games such as Dota scale perfectly with the HUD remaining where it roughly would be on a standard 16 by something less monitor, but shooters are kind of a mixed bag. Some of them have patches that you can perform to move the HUD to the right spot, but many games such as Counter-Strike and Battlefield 4 will put your HUD elements in the same relative position with your radar going all the way to the corner where it can be pretty hard to look at. The next thing to consider is your desk. This monitor is 33.7 inches long. That's nearly 3 feet, which might be a problem unless you've got a huge desk. If you've got bookshelf speakers on your desk, you may need to tuck your speakers behind the monitor, which could have a negative impact on sound quality, or you might have to account for yet another foot or so of space to put your speakers on the outside of it. And finally, I guess it's reality check time. Do you need a new monitor? You'll have to consider what you do with your existing monitors. So, are you gonna give it away to someone? Are you gonna sell it to, a tech-savvy member of your family? Because let me tell you, the other drawback is definitely price. You might want to recoup some of the cost of your existing hardware in order to upgrade to one of these. With that said, if you are, say for example, a video editor or someone who works on their computer and makes money with their computer and values productivity above all else, something like this could make a ton of sense for you, because the additional productivity of being able to view things side by side in a very comfortable format without bezels in the middle could improve things enough to justify the cost. One challenge though is if you feel like you need even more real estate, like Wheel's workstation for example. He has a 16:9, and then he has two portrait mode 16:9s, and then he has another smaller monitor above it. I mean, he splits his auxiliary monitors up into two with Display Fusion, his primary one down the middle with AeroSnap, giving him a total of like 6 virtual monitors, and some might question the overkill nature of that, but he feels like he gets more productivity out of it by dedicating one screen to each task. Something like that is a little bit tougher than this, although LG does include a utility for splitting into 3 horizontal, 4 this way. I think you can do 3 vertical. You can do 3 horizontal if you want, and allows you to split the monitor up into little virtual monitors as well, or you can use a third-party utility for it. So I guess the last thing is basically to give a few of my own thoughts on using one of these as a daily driver. For me personally, for work, it is hands down my choice if I was gonna spend somewhere close to $1,000 for a monitor. Either that or the 97UC. It's slightly curved, but otherwise pretty much the same cousin. For gamers, the choice does become a little bit more difficult because it is still a 60 Hertz display. So if you're looking for the fastest possible responsiveness for like competitive gaming, this isn't gonna be it, and you may want to look into something like an Asus ROG Swift, which is 2560 by 1440, 144 Hertz. So your mileage may vary on this one. Guys, thanks for checking out this video. Like it if you liked it, and subscribe to NCIX Tech Tips for more videos just like this one.